What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of the Ultimate 216 Show. I'm your boy, Earl and Pearl. That's Cecil Shorts, man. Sorry we missed y'all last week. Got a lot to talk about. Let's jump straight into it. But first, it's a good time to let you know that the Ultimate 216 Show is brought to you by Living for We. Catch season 2 of Living for We. Keep your head up, hosted by Marlene Harris Taylor and Maisha Watkins every other Tuesday. Presented by Idea Stream Public Media. They dropped episode 5 last week entitled Dear Mama. A very, very in-depth episode. Make sure you all go check that out. Brother, good morning. How you doing today?
I'm well, man. How about you?
Man, I can't complain, man. I was sick all last week, so we couldn't get an episode done, so couldn't record. Sounded like I don't know how I was sounding, man, but it wasn't good. I was sounding like a skinny Biggie Smalls with all the mucus I had backed up in me. It was ridiculous. So good to be back, man. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, tell a friend, all that good stuff, man. We got three things that we want to touch on today. And we're going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers as they get ready to get their playoff run on the way this upcoming Sunday. First game is Sunday night, 7 o'clock on TNT. Opponent is to be determined. Me and Cecil will talk about who we might want to play and why. We'll get to a life that's gone too soon a little bit later. But we're gonna start off this show about some mid-round money makers. Now, bro, I'm gonna set it up this way. We
Okay.
all know how important this upcoming draft is for Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski to secure their jobs past the 2025 season. And I think one of the knocks on Andrew Berry, one of a few knocks on Andrew Berry, is the lack of drafting of playmakers, right? Impact guys and dudes that can make a difference right away. And when you made your appearance on the flagship show last week, I was at home watching, and I remember you saying, man, the thing about skill position players and those playmakers is no matter what level, like you can always go find those cats. But it seemed like for the Cleveland Browns, every time they tried to go find that legit playmaker, they struck out and missed. Even if it was like a late round gem, like a guy like Mike Woods, who I'm a big fan of, who quite
Mm.
really haven't, gotten the opportunities to show what he can do, or the Anthony Short situation, a guy who had a whole lot of speed, but really wasn't a route runner, really couldn't catch the ball on a consistent basis. And so when you look at the playmakers or lack thereof on this team, how important is it to you for the Cleveland Browns to add a few of those in this upcoming draft?
Number one, I think is huge. Like you need to, no matter who your quarterback is going to be, right? Whether it's a rookie you draft, whether it's somebody on the roster that you have to surround that particular person with playmakers. You have to. You have to
Mhm.
surround those guys with an opportunity to compete. If you look at the AFC, you got the Bills. They're gonna put up points. You got Joe Burrow. They ain't gonna play no defense in Cincinnati, but they're gonna score some
They're gonna
points,
score some
right?
points,
They're
yeah.
gonna score some points. You got Lamar Jackson who's gonna score, right? So, and if potentially Aaron Rodgers could be with the Steelers, and they'll potentially have a DK Metcalf on one side, George Pickens, they'll probably draft a running back. They could put up some points as well. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to compete with the people in your conference. You have to be able to score. You got Judy, you got Njoku. You need somebody. You probably need two other guys, honestly. But to think about what you just said, it's not always on the player. It's
Mhm.
on the coaches as well. I'll never forget my rookie year in Jacksonville, 2011. We had a receiver room, and I didn't live up to my potential my rookie year because I needed to learn and know the details of how to be a professional, the details of how to get open, the details of how to get a good release off the line of scrimmage, the details of how to run routes and how to run a proper curl route, a proper post route, a proper comeback. This different techniques, and I wasn't taught that my rookie year. Then my second year, my receiver coach came in, Jerry Sullivan, saved my career. Literally, because he taught me the details, the ins and outs of everything about a receiver, from how you
Mhm.
get the hands off of the how you get your DB's hands off of you to understanding okay the defense when there's a safety and a cornerback on top of each other that nickel cornerback is going to blitz, like just understanding the details of the game that was taught to by a coach. So yes, on it from a player standpoint, those guys for the Browns have not worked out. But from a coaching standpoint, from a development standpoint, you have to look at what are they really doing inside that organization to help these guys really develop. Like, there's no reason the Schwartz or Mike Woods or whatever has not reached their potential yet because they are more than capable. It's just they haven't even got the opportunity, or they haven't been taught well, in my opinion, or what they needed to learn to be able to take that next step. Because even you even see things from Cedric Tillman, like he's made plays and made strides, but sometimes it's just like it's up or down, right? So
Right, right.
how many guys have they really developed in the skill room? It's going to be interesting. So they have to bring in a playmaker for sure.
It's funny you say that, man, because they didn't, when the Cleveland Browns kind of revamped and fired all their offensive coaches, I thought a lot of the fan base, was scratching their head like I was, that the wide receiver coach stayed intact. When in reality, that's been one of our worst positions, over the last couple of years. I remember Cedric Tillman's rookie season. He didn't make much noise, but I can remember, I think that game versus the Jets in particular, Flacco tried to throw, I think it was an in route in the back of the end zone on the fourth down play, and he didn't run the route correctly. Can't remember if the ball was intercepted or what happened, but a lot of running, correct routes was a lot of his issues. Now, he got his opportunities last year with a different quarterback, and he was able to show something that show some, of his skill set. And so,
Mhm.
as to your point, you're gonna have to look at the coaching as well. And you talk about drafting playmakers, right? If you look at the top wide receiver prospects in this year's draft, Travis Hunter probably is number one above Tech, but
Yeah.
I think Travis is all but a lock to be drafted by the Cleveland Browns here at number two. So I'm like you. The
Mm.
Browns need more than one playmaker at wide receiver. We can use some playmakers at wide receiver, tight end, running back, things like that. And
Sure.
we're going to take a couple wide receivers in this first segment of this show and just start kind of breaking them down and seeing guys that you like. And let's start with Luther Burden. This is one guy, man, you talked about the other day. Luther, this is his stats last season compared to his career. 61 receptions. He had 676 yards, 6 touchdowns, over 2,200 yards receiving in his collegiate career, over 20 touchdowns, and he averages at least a first down per reception. Man, what about this dude do you really like?
Well, last year was a tough year for him because his sophomore year he put up over 1,000 yards, a ridiculous amount of touchdowns. He was unbelievable. Coming into this year, he was a lock to be a first or top 15 pick in this year's draft. Now, because of inconsistent quarterback play, some other things going on that offensive side, because Missouri was ranked high coming into this year. Well, they didn't play well as a team, and because
Mhm.
of that, it hurt his statistics, right? But it does not take away his playmaking ability. He is Debo Samuel. He's 6 feet, 206. The comparison I have for him is simple. It's Debo Samuel. His run after catch is amazing. I think he, honestly, Travis Hunter's probably one in my book when it comes to yards after catch or run after catch. I think Luther's two. If you look at his catches on his career, 75% of them, this is the stat come from Pro Football Focus, 75% of them, of his catches were under or within 10 yards, meaning he was catching the ball and making guys miss. He was catching the ball and running after the catch. He's physical. He's tough. He can do it all when the ball's in his hands. He's dynamic when the ball is in his hands. He's physical. He can run by you, run a 4.41 at the combine. He can line up on the outside. He can line up on the inside. He is somebody I like a lot. And I still think he's developing. I still think he's a guy that can come in right away and make an impact, but also he's a guy that can develop as time goes. The offense they use with Missouri, again, he was getting a lot of short routes. He was getting a lot of underneath type stuff, but he can be a guy to take the top off the defense. He can run go routes, run post corners, run deep digs. He will be a good compliment, I think, to Jerry Jeudy. So I love me some Luther Burden. Don't get caught up in the statistics because that threw all of us off this year. But it was an inconsistent quarterback play. But this dude can play. Like he can really come in day one, and I think that's critical. Honestly, I'm not trying to knock the coaching staff and knock the receiver coach, but if you can find a guy that is going to impact you from day one, it's not as much on the coaching staff to learn to teach them, if that makes sense.
No, it
There'll
make
be
a lot of sense to
nuances he
me.
has to there'll be nuances he has to learn, right? But there's not gonna be a ton that he has to teach where he's already a day one playmaker, in my opinion.
It's almost like we know the struggles, especially when it comes to drafting wide receivers under the Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski regime. So it's
Yeah.
like if you're gonna go draft a couple wide receivers, a la Travis Hunter and a guy like Luther Burden, I think basically what you're saying is, man, it's really hard to mess this up. Like these
Yes.
dudes are so talented that you can come in and their talent alone will kind of like, curve the coaching aspect of it some, right? Because they have those skill sets. And I remember Deion Sanders saying, for a guy like Travis Hunter, he said, man, the NFL is going to be no problem for him because it's much slower than the collegiate game. And that's the
Mm,
first time I heard that, because you always hear the game is much
it's true.
faster, but if he's saying Travis is so light years ahead that the game is going to slow down for him. We talked about Luther Burden a couple of episodes ago, and then you see a lot of mock drafts that has him mocked anywhere from 24 to about 35, 36. And so he might be a guy that is the first pick of day 2 of the NFL draft. I don't foresee the Cleveland Browns trading up for Luther Burden. I think if you trade up, it's probably for an offensive lineman or a quarterback, because when it comes to those two positions, if you can get a 5th-year option and be able to exercise that, you want to be able to do so. Another wide receiver that you like and we talked about was this young man right here, Tez Johnson. Yeah, your boy Tyvis Powell likes Tez a lot too. Tell me about Tez, man. What is it about Tez that stands out to you as you look at his stats from last year and then over the course of his collegiate career?
He's just a big play waiting to happen. The comparison I would have for him is like a Tank Dell type. And me being able to cover the Texans here, when you can compare a guy to Tank Dell, that's a big compliment. Tank was huge with the Houston Texans before he got hurt. So for Tez to be compared to him, same body type, right? Slender, 5'10", 155, maybe soaking wet, which would be a concern, right? But he can get open. He can route run his butt off. There's nobody that's going to be able to play off coverage and be able to not, keep him from getting open. He is ridiculous at his routes. He did a great job at the Senior Bowl, showcasing in one-on-ones. Did a good job getting off the press. Needs to be more consistent getting off the press because he's a smaller guy. So he has to really use his quickness against bigger guys that are going to try to get his hands on him. But he's just a big play waiting to happen. He reminds me of a poor man's Deshaun Jackson, right? The same build, the same
Mhm.
opportunities. He can go down the field. He can catch bubble screens and go to the house. He can catch short routes and go to the house. Does a good job being elusive and making guys miss, right? Does an excellent job, and I think I learned this from Marvin Harrison. Doesn't take a lot of hits. He's able to get down when he needs to, and that's what he needs to do, being 5'10", 155, right? The only knock I have on him, again, would be his build. And when he does get hit, he didn't finish the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State because he got knocked out the game. So it's important for him to learn. Not, I shouldn't say learn. It's important for him, whatever offense he's in, to continue to get down, not take the big hits. Sometimes he does a little bit too many juke moves, but this dude can play some football. Catches the ball well. He's not going to be your 50-50 guy, right? He's going to be your slot guy. You put him in the slot. You find a matchup for him. Let him work his hips. Let him work his juke moves. Get him open. He can be your intermediate guy. Can turn something intermediate to a big game. So I really like Tez. It's an explosive playmaker, and he can do some things in the return game too.
Now with Tez, let me ask you this. Which is Tez a better compliment to, let's say your package is Judy, Hunter. I don't know where Cedric Tillman fit in that. And if you draft Tez, like as they line up on a football field, who goes where? And who's more impactful where?
Good question. So Judy and Travis will be my X and Z, my two outside receivers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are my guys. Will they stay out there all the time? No. We got to move them around. We got to motion them. We got to find mismatches. We got to get the press coverage off of them, right? So we'll motion them and move them around. But those will be my X and my Z receiver, right? Two guys on the outside. Um, Cedric can be outside. So you go 11 personnel. You can put Cedric on the outside. You can move Travis in, or you can move Judy in. But I think Tez will be best used as probably a number 4 type receiver, number 3 or 4 receiver in the slot. Get him on a safety. Get him on linebackers at times. Get him on the nickel. Get him on guys that cannot cover him. So put him in the slot. Use him in motions. Use him in motions and come behind the quarterback. Use him in motions and come across the field. You can give him jet sweeps. You can find ways to use Tez in the slot. That's where he's gonna make his living. Not gonna be outside. You don't want him with the big guys outside. You want to find him mismatches. Put the nickel on him. If it's nickel on slot, oh, I love that matchup. Ted's gonna get open. He's so quick. He's dynamic in his route running. He can do that, right? And then your other three with Cedric and Travis and Judy, they can play inside outside. I would love to move Travis around. You can move Judy around, but Judy's he's your solidified. To me, he's your Z. He's your guy that's
Mhm.
going to get open. He can be your intermediate threat. He can be your possession guy. And then Travis would be your X. He's going down the field. He can make the huge play. And then Cedric can be your a good quality third guy.
And finally, man, before we move on to our next topic, we got to highlight this young man right here, KeAndre Lambert-Smith. This dude was at Penn State, transferred, played his final season at Auburn, had almost 1,000 yards receiving last year in the SEC, 8 touchdowns, 19 career touchdowns overall. Man, this is a dude I really, really like. See, so like, I just think he comes with that. First of all, you play in the Big Ten, and I feel like anybody that play in the Big Ten, they have this AFC North pedigree. They
Mm.
understand, this geographic of football, should I say. And anytime that you get a dude that's a 50-50 guy that can stretch the football field, man, sign me up for something like that. I like dudes who got that dog mentality. And then when you take a chance on yourself to transfer that late in your career and you're still productive, it says a lot about you. You went from the Big Ten to the SEC. So to me, top tier competition, and you have proven that you can be able to hold your own damn near if it's in the Big Ten or in the SEC. To go to Auburn, to be in that offense and that system for 1 year, and to almost put up 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns with a quarterback that you was not familiar with, it just says a lot about his game to me.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Like, let's not overlook him going from Penn State, a top 15, consistent top 15, top 20 team in the nation, one of the best conferences in the NCAA, and then going to Auburn, and you're playing against Alabama and the top guys every single week in the SEC. And for him to put up almost 950 or almost 1,000 yards in a season in college, that's a big deal. On 50 receptions, look at his average there. That means almost every one of his catches was a big play. 19.6. That means he had an explosive play almost on every single one of his 50 catches. That's big time. That's a playmaker that can go down the field. That's somebody that's going to make plays when the ball's in his hand. So that's intriguing, and I think he'll be there in the between late second and fourth round that you can pick him up, and he can be a guy that come in and make some plays for you. So that's an intriguing prospect right there. I like that.
All right, man. So before we move on, we highlighted a couple guys that can be, mid round playmakers for the Cleveland Browns if they opt to go for another pass catcher. Of the guys that we highlighted today, who would you like to see next to Travis Hunter and Jerry Judy in that same room with Cedric Tillman? And I even put Jamari Thrash in there. Who would you like to see in that room of all the guys that we did a breakdown on today?
I think my favorite would be Luther. I think he makes the most sense. I think he's the most, like we talked about, he's the most day one ready, right? If he had a solid quarterback this year, we wouldn't even be talking about him because he's a top 15 pick. Like he's a first round pick. Not a lot of injury history, great size, 6 feet 206, can play inside, can play outside. And again, when the ball is in his hands, he's dynamic. So you add him to the fold, you got something special going on. Like let's not overlook Njoku. Let's not overlook Jerry Judy in the years they had last year. So if you can add a Travis Hunter and you can add or this guy, you're putting yourself in position again, no matter who's the quarterback, but they have a good starting offense around them. And that's what you want. You want a solid offense built around your quarterback so they can have somebody to throw to, they can make plays. And again, you got to keep up in the AFC to score these points. So I think Luther is the most ready right now. I love the kid from Auburn and I love Tez Johnson, but if I had to pick one, I'll pick Luther Burden out of the ones we talked about.
Yeah, I'll take Luther Burden as well, man. I just think he makes the more sense, makes the most sense, as you alluded to. This is a kid that was 1,000 yard receiver just a season ago, 2 seasons ago. And when you look at what Jerry Judy already brings to the table, we pretty much know what you're going to get out of Travis Hunter. We've seen a snippet of what Cedric Tillman is capable of doing. I like a young Jamari Thrash. And so if you put this guy right here in that receiver room, now all of a sudden that room don't look as bad as it has in recent years, man. Y'all drop y'all thoughts in the comments. Y'all let us know what y'all think. Which wide receiver would you take in rounds 2 through 4 to add in that wide receiver room with a Cedric Tillman, a Jerry Jeudy, a Jamari Thrash, and possibly a Travis Hunter, man. Make sure you let us know what you think about that as we move on. This is a good time to tell you that the second portion of the Ultimate 216 show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love personally how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. My favorite thing to do, as you know, brother, is bet on the 25% boost that they give you for the Cleveland Cavaliers every single game. So, again, man, shout out to FanDuel, and make sure you go over there and put some parlays in as we get ready, geared up for the playoffs, man. The NBA playoff games, play-in games, they started yesterday, and the Hawks got whooped on. I mean, or Orlando came to play last night. I know some people were really looking forward to seeing Cavs versus Orlando Part Two.
Mm-mm,
I,
mm-mm.
so a part of me, the last game we played them here at home when they snapped our streak, Ty Jerome and
That's your
Apollo
boy.
kind of got into it. And, I got this running joke. Apollo looked like Yellow Beezy, and I was out here like, man, Yellow Beezy was out here talking shit. And so, like, for me, I was trying to
Yo,
run it back. I was trying to run it back and say he don't. Say he don't though. He
he
looked just
does.
like Elby.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's on me, baby head ass. But like that's what it looked like, man. So it'll be Orlando versus Boston in round one. We're still waiting to see who our opponent is tonight. Chicago and Miami faces off, and then I believe that Atlanta will face the winner of that series or of that matchup to see who the Cleveland Cavaliers will host. So we got three potential opponents: the Atlanta Hawks, the Chicago Bulls, and the Miami Heat. Who you want to see and why?
I don't want to see the Hawks because I feel like for whatever reason we struggled against the Hawks. Right? I know there's just some former Cavs on the Hawks. I know there's former guys that happened in the trade for DeAndre Hunter. Um, but when I look at the teams that are left, I don't want to see Hawks for that reason, but I would want to see Chicago. For me, I love what the Cavs are bringing to the table. I just don't want the Cavs to have to fight and claw coming out that first round. I want them to come out fresh, 5 games at most. Um, and I think if you look at the Miami Heat, I'm scared of Eric Spoelstra, not necessarily the team as a whole, but just knowing Eric and his mindset, knowing the Heat culture, knowing what Bam and Tyler Hero can do. Um, yeah, it'll be a good test for us to get ready for eventually Boston or whoever comes down the pipe. But I just feel like Eric Spoelstra is somebody I want to stay away from. He's going to make us work. He's going to make us fight. He's going to make us crawl. And I just don't want that for the Cavs in round one. I want them to be as fresh as possible to get ready for the Eastern Conference Finals in a couple more series, right? And I think Chicago can be that. They'll be a good test. Giddy's been averaging about almost a triple double since the All-Star break. He's been balling. Kobe White, of the other guard on the team, he's been balling. So it'll be a good test for
Kobe
us.
got a clip too.
Yes, he
He
does.
he got a
They'll
clip.
be and they're feisty. They'll fight. They'll crawl. I
Well
just think
coached.
well coached. I just rather face them than a Miami or Atlanta. Atlanta, for whatever, has our number. They're not scared of us, and plus they have former Cavaliers on the team, meaning they know the ins and outs of what we want to do as a organization. Like they just know. And that can help them when it comes to preparing for us in a 7 game series. So I want to stay away from Atlanta. I want to stay away from Eric Spoelstra and what's going on. I'm praising the Lord that we don't play Orlando. I want Orlando to beat up on Boston. They should go 7 games, beat the heck. I don't care who wins, but beat the heck out of Boston. 7 game series, and then we handle Chicago in the manner 5 games at most. What's Shannon Sharp like to say? Like Lakers in 5,
Lakers in
Cavs in
five.
5.
Cavs
I
in
think we'll be
four.
good to go.
So for me, I actually want to see Atlanta. Like
mm,
the personal bias is, man, like I would love to see George Niang, man. George Niang was somebody that real cool, always willing to talk to you when you seen him after the game, and real friendly with the media, just a vibrant personality. When the deal was made, of course I was happy to get DeAndre Hunter. Niang was one of the people that I didn't want to see go, but I understand business is business. and it'd be cool to see Karis LeVert. But outside of that, a lot of these former players that have these national spots that talk NBA, they don't speak too fond of the Cleveland Cavaliers. They don't believe, in my opinion, that the Cleveland Cavaliers are good enough to go through the juggernaut that was called the NBA playoffs. I think that some believe that the Cleveland Cavaliers is just a really, really good regular season team that might not be prepared for the moment. And in the regular season, when we had our few hiccups, when we had our few Achilles heels, one of those teams was the Atlanta Hawks. And what better way to show that you are ready for this moment and to kind of like put your foot on people's neck and put the world on notice early that you can face a team that you struggle with in the regular season with the thought process and knowing that the playoffs is a different beast, and then come out here, man, and whoop their ass. Like I think that would go a long way to proving to other people that okay, the Cavaliers is for real, and the Cavaliers are for real, and that they can actually make it to their final destination. The Atlanta Hawks, man, they are a matchup nightmare. They're long, they're athletic, and they get physical with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Trae Young dropped 20 assists earlier this year versus Cleveland. I was there. So for me, I look at Atlanta and I think Atlanta is a tough test, but I think it's a necessary test because you're trying to go win the NBA championship this year and you're going to be tested. And what better way for your own confidence and then for the confidence of the fan base and then just to make some noise nationally that, okay, whatever doubts we had about this Cavaliers team coming into the playoffs, seeing who what the round one opponent was based on regular season history, that the Cavs come out there, man, put their foot on their necks and move on. Cavs in five.
Cavs in five, baby.
Cavs
Can
in
I say
five.
something real quick?
For sure.
One thing that bothers me about the NBA analysts, I feel like they hate.
They
I
do.
feel like they hate a lot. And I don't know if it's like a personal vendetta against each other or whether it's, whoever it is, the TNT crew or the other podcasts, whatever. That's like they hate. They just don't talk about the game. They hate on guys. And I feel like they hate on the Cavaliers. And I feel like nothing's going to help them get over that until we just win it all. Like we have to shut everybody up. So Atlanta, to your point, I think that would help because they struggle with them. They are a nightmare. That's why I want to stay away from. Them. They're a nightmare, or a matchup nightmare. But I think until we actually go beat Boston and go beat probably the Knicks or somebody, and then get to the NBA Finals and then beat OKC, they're going to continue to hate. So I hope this is just like fuel to their fire to shut everybody up, to prove the point like, hey, we belong in the conversation and we're a team for it. We're not pretenders. We just have a good regular season and then we can come out there, we can win the whole thing. So I'm hoping this playoffs we prove it, man. I think the first game is when? Sunday?
Sunday at 7 o'clock. Easter
Okay. Let's do
Sunday
it.
at 7 o'clock. Game two is Wednesday night at 7:30, the day before the NFL draft. So to say it's lit and popping in Cleveland right now would
It's gonna be
definitely be
live.
a understatement, man. Don't forget to subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Ring the bell. Tell a friend to stay into the know. We are well over 50,000 subscribers, man. Make sure you tune in to all our spinoff shows as well so that you can stay in the know, man, and catch the hottest growing YouTube channel and all of not just Ohio, not just the Cleveland band, but all of America. Good time to let you know that this portion of the Ultimate 216 show is brought to you by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, and practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the All Stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. Epicor solutions are created by industry experts to help make every day easier. See your whole supply chain is easier. Managing logistics is easier. Responding to price changes is easier. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global vision, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most of every hard working minute. Easier doesn't cut corners, easier finds the lane. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com. So, we have a show titled sponsored Living for We and Living for We season 2 focuses on gun violence and the impact that gun violence can have on both parties that's involved. But me and you like to take it a step further, because when gun violence happens, it impacts many people. Family, friends, associates, loved ones, etc. And we heard the unfortunate news of the Karen Lacy passed away from an apparent suicide. He was found dead Saturday night in Houston. And according to Harris County authorities, police responded to a call from a female family member who said Lacy had discharged a firearm into the ground during a verbal argument. When they arrived on the scene, they learned that Lacy had fled in a vehicle. Police chase took place, and apparently somewhere in that chase, he ended his life, and he was found deceased in his car. Of course, late December, driving recklessly was the culprit in a hit and run accident that left a 78-year-old man deceased. And it seems like from that moment in December, things went downhill from him. And we just felt it necessary to highlight this, man, because it's tough, right? Everybody lost in this situation. This is a young man who, it seemed like, man, life just got too much for him too soon. It seemed like at one point everything was right there for the taking. He had just graduated from LSU at the top of December. He had just completed his last season at LSU, balled out, by the way. And we all know the pedigree of wide receivers that come through that university.
Mhm.
And on a very odd December day, everything took a turn for the left, and now here we are. We are. So, what was your thoughts when you got the news?
Um, this is tough, man. Um, the older I get, it's interesting. Like when I was we were in high school, college, that age range. I feel like I wasn't very emotional,
Hmm.
and I just don't know if that was just the environment we grew up in, and we had to be tough. I don't know if that was just the people around us, or um, just what it is. As you know, as men, we don't try to show emotion. We try to be tough. We got to put this front on. So I didn't have a lot of emotion growing up. Now, as a 37-year-old man, hearing this news, I cried. I cried because at 24 years old, you have so much life to live, Earl. And he felt like he was going through so much that he had to take his own life. That's scary for me. And I think this is a call out, not only for us to, as men, especially black men, but men in general, to get with a therapist, get some mental help, find somebody you can talk to and communicate with. I think it's extremely important that as mentors, as uncles, as fathers, as brothers, as friends, as teammates, as peers, as coaches, as teachers, we are pouring into the young men we're around. You never know what somebody's going through. You never know what they're battling with. You don't know the pressure he felt. He was about to be a second, third round pick in the NFL draft. Life changing scenario coming up literally 12 days away when he shot himself. 11 days away when he shot himself. But he felt like his world was so messed up and impacted in such a way that he had to take his life. That's scary for me. And again, it's a call out. It woke me up. What type of man am I? What type of man am I? What type of mentor, what type of father, uncle, brother am I to the men around me, to the young people around me? It's sad. It's a horrendous thing, as you mentioned in the in the read. Um, it affects not only the family, but I mean so many other people. I feel hurt about this. You're hurt about this, Earl. So I
Yeah.
can imagine what his immediate family, his teammates, people that know him intimately, what they feel. Like this impacted so many. It was like a ripple effect. I'm just sitting there like, This is unbelievable. Now I don't know the kid. I just
Mhm.
know of the kid. So it's a call out, man. Like we really got to step up as men. That's how I take it. It's sad. Uh, 24 years old, whole life in front of him. Whether he would have gotten, say he would have gotten in trouble with the law, it's still life in front of you. It's still
Yeah,
time to get make things right.
yeah,
I just don't want anybody to feel like it's I have to take their own life.
yeah.
I have to.
To me, I think my message would be, we all make bad choices in life sometimes. We all do things that we're not proud of, and we all do things that sometimes come with consequences, and those consequences can be greater than others depending on the circumstances. And you got to be able to persevere through those bad moments. You got to understand that storms don't last forever.
Mm,
That when those clouds finally part, that the sun is shining and God is still good. And even in your worst situation, God is still good. And when you feel like you in the pits of the worst situations ever, like God can make a way for you to climb yourself out of it. And I would just tell people to, man, to have more faith, have more hope. Seek out therapy. If you are somebody that's a spiritual believer, gain a closer relationship with God, because we all gonna go through something, and we're all gonna go through things that are going to get us to the brinks of not sure if we wanting to be here or not. Me and you have talked privately, and you have talked on this platform about some of the mental struggles that you had throughout your NFL career, how your career ended, and things like that. I can think about, some of my early life decisions and how it was shaping my life up, and how depressed I was because it didn't seem like I was going anywhere. Or I can remember, a July morning on 271, a couple months after my father passed away, just not really caring. And
mm,
so I know what it's like. And to your point, we got to be better men, better leaders, better fathers, better uncles, better friends, better associates. That's why we always say the things that we say. Spreading love, like, it's priceless, and people don't realize a compliment to a stranger
mm,
might do something to save their life or change the trajectory of their day. And if we can just put more energy into being kind people, it can go a long way. Also, the man that lost his life in the accident that Lacy caused, I think about his family as well, because that's a family that wanted justice for their loved one, and they won't get that, unfortunately. And so they have to deal with that trauma, and they have to deal with that along with the loss of their loved one. And so this is a situation that's going to impact so many different people in so many different ways. And, nothing happens in vain. And what I hope for is that, man, we can come out on the other side of this more loving, better people, stronger, and with more resources to help people that might be dealing with mental illnesses, depression. Depression is a real thing. And just speaking from, what I really recently went through, to walk in my house and find my mama dead with her eyes
mm,
open.
mm,
Like, to be able, like, it's only by the grace of God that I'm still standing, that I'm functioning, that I ain't crashed out, that I'm not drowning. And that's because I lean on people like you, who's my friend and my brother. It's because I lean on that word, and it's because I got my butt in therapy. And I understand that, you know, life is hard for me. But if I don't do the things necessary to help myself, it can have a huger impact on those who love me.
mm.
And so that's why those things that's important. So we went way over our time today, but we felt it necessary to have that real conversation, man. Y'all know the vibes, man. Ultimate 216. We back at y'all next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Cecil Shorts, Earl of Pearl. Y'all know the vibes, man. Be great, spread love. Remember, being great come with a price, and spreading love is priceless. Until next week, we're out. Peace.